Hi, welcome to Julius Bar. Today we're gonna have 3 different salts for 3 different margaritas. So today it's gonna be a big episode, but I'm gonna try to make it as quick as possible. We are gonna try 3 different styles of margarita cocktail, none of that fruity sweet stuff, all serious margarita, and we are gonna have 3 different kind of salts on the rim of the glass. So let's start by rimming our cocktail glass with salt. I am of the idea that the best way to add salt to a margarita is to put it on the edge of the glass, only outside and only on half of the glass, so that the person who's having the cocktail can choose to have more or less salt based on their tastes. So to have our salt stick to the edge of the glass, I'm gonna use a lime, this to make just the edge slightly wet. And only outside like this, and only on half of the glass. Let's see. My favorite glass for this drink will be the one in the middle, the normal coupe, but I'm using 3 different glasses so that it's gonna be easier to differentiate between the 3 cocktails. Now let's present the salts. The first one is gonna have just plain salt from the sea, the cheapest salt I can find at the supermarket. And that's the normal salt I use for my cooking, because when you're cooking, really all salts is pretty much the same. I mean, during the cooking phase. Then when you're finishing a dish, then in that case the salt shape the crystals, the other minerals that can be added to a more fancy salt can come into play. So there you go, first one, bit excess is done, normal salt. Now for the second one. The second one is gonna be a pink salt from Himalayan rocks. I'm gonna put it on this flanged coupe. So this glass is not ideal for this cocktail, but again I'm just trying to differentiate 3 different kind of cocktail with 3 different glass shapes. But I think we made it in this case too, maybe a bit more. Not a terrible job. And then the second salt is gonna be a salt Maldon, which is a smoked salt from England. It tastes awesome, really smoky and really meaty. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna first tap it a bit. I don't wanna smash it all the way. I don't wanna make it like too thin of a powder, because otherwise it's gonna lose some of the explosion that comes in your mouth from the crystal shapes. But those flakes, they call them, crystal, they are just a bit too big to stick to the edge of the glass. So by tapping them slightly, hopefully it's gonna be easier to stick them to the edge of this coupe. Let's see. Applying the salt in this way is a bit more time expensive, but I think you get a better effect than just dipping all the glass inside salt like this, vertical way. And there you go. Let's put some ice to chill the cocktail glasses. And while we're chilling, let's start with the first cocktail. So our first margarita is going to be the most classic margarita recipe I could find, and it comprises of lime, press squeezed, to have a faster mixing, 22.5 milliliters, then 22.5 milliliter of triple sec. I'm going now use dry curacao because I'm not a big fan of triple sec, especially the Cointreau. I just prefer this one. It's always an orange based liqueur. They are fairly similar. To me this one just has a better character, less sharp. And 45 milliliter of tequila, tequila blanco, a unaged tequila. This is a ocho tequila, and it's a pretty good tequila. I'm gonna use this one slightly more complex because this is a really simple cocktail, and I think those added complexity in the flavor of a tequila might just come through and be nicely welcome. It's a bit smoky by itself, and let's get some ice and shake it. Let's double strain in our cocktail glass. And there you go, a perfectly classic margarita. As you can see, I have the common salt, and cheers. Let's try with a bit of salt. It's perfectly fine and delicious. Not overly complex. I find this to not be too dry or too sour. I think the amount of sugar is fine. Some people add some agave syrup even to this mix. Some other people prefer to serve it on ice. I prefer like this, straight up. The salt is there for any time you feel like biting into it. Nice. Now for our second margarita. So our second margarita is gonna be a variation on a Tommy's margarita. A Tommy's margarita substitute the Cointreau or triple sec or dry curacao for agave syrup, and the rest of the alcohol is just gonna be tequila. So let's get down to it. As agave syrup, I saw quotes up to 15 milliliters of agave syrup. I'm gonna put one dash, which I will think it's about half of 15 milliliters, maybe something like 7.5, 10 milliliters. Then going with 30 milliliters of lime juice. Then 50 milliliters of mezcal. This is going to be a smoky Tommy's margarita. And I'm going to use this Ajal mezcal, which is smoky and relatively pleasant and not too expensive. Here in Japan, all mezcal, they seem a bit overpriced. And then I'm gonna couple it with this Añejo Campo Azul tequila. I hope this time I pronounced Añejo correctly. And this same coupling of tequila and mezcal, I use it in my Oaxaca Old Fashioned, which you can check out the video up there. And it's just like such a great combination that I'm gonna use it again. And that's it. Let's get some ice. Let's give it a shake. Let's double strain. And there you go, a smoky Tommy's Margarita. Cheers. The smokiness both from the mezcal definitely comes up together with the Maldon salt. This añejo tequila is more smooth, less sharp. So while the first Margarita was more refreshing, this is more complex, smoky, suave. Do you say suave? Is it a word? And it's just glorious. The Maldon salt really add another layer of smokiness. My wife that doesn't like smoke, I offer her this drink and she licked all the salt in 1 minute and a half, something like that. As delicious as this is. Yeah, it's really good. And now for our third variation on a margarita, we are gonna start from the Tommy's Margarita concept and stray a bit farther. We're gonna start with 15 milliliters of grapefruit juice, pink grapefruit juice. Go on with 15 milliliters of lime juice. I saw this kind of this recipe done in other places, either just with grapefruit or some other variation. This is my variation. It's not that complex anyway. I don't think it even deserves a name. I think I'm just gonna call it pink margarita. And then we go on, instead of agave syrup, let's use some homemade grenadine. And you can check out the recipe for the homemade grenadine in my video of El Presidente. I'm just gonna put 1 teaspoon. This is fairly thick, probably with a relatively high sugar content. So I'm just gonna do 1 teaspoon. It's freaking delicious, man. It's sweet but sharp with the acidity of pomegranate. And then I'm gonna finish with 60 milliliters of tequila, and I'm gonna use this Espolón, which became a kind of a standard around the world for okay, good tequila. It is okay. It's a good tequila. It's a bit less complex than the other ones I proposed you before, but it's a really good one nonetheless. So 60 milliliters of that, and I chose this tequila because by being a bit more of a fruity cocktail, I kind of didn't want to add the complexity of the earthiness of clay, smoke, the stuff I didn't need in this version of the cocktail. Well, actually, if you add it, don't think it's gonna taste that bad, but let's get some ice. Let's give it a shake. And let's double strain in our glass with the pink Himalayan salt. A pink margarita. Cheers. This is so not sweet. I like it. More fruity, more sour, definitely a different take. The pink Himalayan salt on the edge of the glass might be my favorite salt. It's definitely better than the normal white cheap salt. The normal salt, it's decent, but it doesn't add anything. It's like having white sugar. It's just the sugar, nothing else. It's punchy. While the pink Himalayan salt, I don't know, has this different explosion in your mouth. Let's go back a second to the smoky one. They are all really good in their own different way. I must say the original recipe comes out better than I thought from this experiment. It's good. It's really good, the original. My favorite drink will probably be a mix between all of this. Like the original, but maybe with a bit of smoke, and the Himalayan pink salt. Maybe that's gonna be my margarita, and if it's gonna be my margarita, it's gonna be in the next video. So final recap: classic margarita, nice, more sharp, refreshy direct. Tommy's margarita, smoky version, more complex, more nuanced, a bit darker, less refreshy, really good with the Maldon salt, you wanna lick it all. And the pink margarita, more sour, even more refreshing than the first one. You can just drink it almost like one sip. And pink Himalayan salt, really good. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, share, shake yourself a drink. And I hope to see you next time. Which one should I drink? Let's go for this one. Cheers. E lo fa una notte intera perché Margherita il sogno, perché Margherita il sale, perché Margherita il vento e non sa che può far male. Margherita è tutto ed è lei la mia pazzia. Margherita, 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 adesso mi